Coming up on King 5 News, in the race for the White House, Vice President Kamala Harris is hitting the road as she begins her run for president. She's already under attack by the Trump campaign. Plus, how the Department of Transportation is reacting after a global tech outage put a halt on flights. An investigation is now looking into the recovery time of one major airline. And we're hearing from the mother of a young girl killed at the Alderwood Mall. She and others are remembering Jada Woods Johnson as fearless. King 5 News starts now. Vice President Kamala Harris is hitting the campaign trail on her own campaign for president. I'm Christine Pei. Thank you so much for joining us. Harris started her campaign after President Joe Biden dropped out of the race last month. Biden has already endorsed Harris to be the next president. Harris is now undergoing attacks from former president and Republican nominee Donald Trump, including attacks on her racial identity. The comments were made at a conference for Black journalists last week.
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
Harris is turning her focus now toward choosing her own vice presidential candidate. Prospects include Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. The latest polls show Harris is in a dead heat with Trump. In key swing states, Harris nearly eliminating Trump's earlier lead over Biden. A big question is whether we'll see Trump and Harris on the debate stage.
Look at what happened.
The FBI is investigating the attempt on former President Trump's life. The Bureau confirms hundreds of interviews have been conducted into the shooter's background. His motive is still unknown. Officials also confirm the former president has agreed to participate in a victim interview. Less than 48 hours after the assassination attempt, the Republican National Convention is taking place with Trump in attendance. At the convention, he announced his pick for Vice President J.D. Vance, a Republican senator from Ohio. NBC's Alice Barr has the details from Milwaukee.
Former President Trump greeting his supporters tonight before ceding the spotlight to his political heir apparent, newly announced vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, the first-term Ohio senator introducing himself to a national audience and an energized convention crowd.
What do you think J.D. Vance brings to this ticket?
Well, he brings youth, that's for sure. You know, he's about a year older than I am. A lot of strength and fervor. I think he's going to be a great protege for Trump.
The one-time Trump critic, now a fierce America First ally. He backs hardline policies on issues from immigration to abortion and opposing additional aid for Ukraine. A Marine veteran who served in Iraq. Senator Vance laying out his personal story, growing up in rural poverty, detailed in a best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. Vance is the first millennial on a major party ticket in a race between the two oldest presidential nominees, rocked by the horrific assassination attempt against former President Trump.
My father came under literal fire as an incredible patriotic rally turned into a tragedy.
And on the Democratic side, deep concerns over President Biden's fitness. Tonight resurfacing with news of his COVID diagnosis. He says he's feeling good and working while isolating. Several convention speakers questioned President Biden's strength.
Father Time has not been kind to Joe Biden.
On a night themed Make America Strong Again, that saw Gold Star families who lost loved ones in the Afghanistan withdrawal take the stage.
There has been a deafening silence from the Biden and Harris administration.
A somber and powerful moment amid a night of celebration for the Republican Party ticket.
And on the last day of the convention, Trump formally accepted the party's nomination. He addressed the party for the first time since the attempted assassination, expressing gratitude for his supporters. The newly nominated Republican ticket hoping to use the energy and support in the final months of the presidential campaign. A single software update is to blame for grounding planes and causing tech disruptions. Earlier this summer, cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike issued an update containing a bug that caused an issue with Microsoft operating systems. The incident is being labeled as the biggest tech outage in history.
We're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this. Because our mission is why we're here, to make sure that every customer is fully recovered, and we're not going to relent until we get every customer back to where they were.
The issue affected banks and 911 operations as well. Airline operations were at a standstill while the FAA grounded planes. Those impacts were felt for days, even a week after the initial outage. The Department of Transportation has launched an investigation into Delta's recovery after that outage. Their big question is, why did it take so long for Delta operations to return to normal while most other airlines recovered within a few days? Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg estimates more than 6,000 Delta flights were canceled after the IT outage.
I'm hearing a lot of things I'm very concerned about, including people being on hold for hours and hours trying to get a new flight, people having to sleep on airport floors, even accounts of unaccompanied minors being stranded in airports, unable to get on a flight.
Delta has acknowledged the investigation, releasing a statement saying it is working tirelessly to make things right for customers. Boeing has announced its new CEO. Robert Kelly Ortberg will take the reins at the aerospace company. Ortberg was the former CEO of Rockwell Collins. In a statement, he said, quote, "There is much work to be done at Boeing." Washington Congressman Rick Larsen, meanwhile, who is a member of the Federal Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, said Ortberg will have to, quote, "ensure a continued commitment to the safety and quality plan that is Boeing's pathway to earning the trust and confidence of the traveling public." The announcement comes as the Department of Justice finalized a plea agreement with Boeing. The company will plead guilty to a felony charge of defrauding the U.S. government and pay a more than $243 million fine. Boeing also admitted to defrauding the FAA when seeking permission for the 737 MAX plane to carry passengers. That plea deal is subject to approval by a federal judge. Well, we have experienced record-breaking heat here in Western Washington this summer, and that heat is taking a toll on vulnerable populations, including those struggling with homelessness. The King County Regional Homelessness Authority called on several organizations to act as cooling centers. The centers aim to serve the 16,000 homeless people in King County, 60% of which are unsheltered.
Even if people are living outside, they're still our neighbors. They're still just like you and I, and they have a right. You know, housing is a basic human need, and they might not have it at this moment, but we should provide a place for them to stay cool and not overheat.
The KCRHA says you can help by handing out water to those who are requesting help or donating supplies to cooling sites. The Pioneer Fire near Lake Chelan is still the largest wildfire in the state right now, and level 3 evacuations or go now warnings have been issued in Stehekin. Other levels near the lake are being downgraded. So here is a map of the wildfire. It has grown to over 36,000 acres and is only 12% contained. Officials say the fire was human caused, but the specific origins of the fire are still under investigation. The county previously required tourists, campers, and hikers to leave the area under the level 2 evacuation order. The remote location is proving difficult in fighting the Pioneer Fire. Crews and engines are being transported to Stehekin by boat. Another challenge, no retardant is being used in the area to protect fish in the lake. The Pioneer Fire will likely not be fully contained until October.
This terrible event has undoubtedly caused unease and raised anxieties about the safety of our community. This violence needs to stop, and those involved need to be held accountable. While the shooter is currently back in custody on $2 million bail, no amount of justice will bring Jada back.
Police are asking for the public's help to find the gun used in a shooting at the Alderwood Mall last month. They say the gun is still missing, even though the suspected shooter is in custody. The shooting resulted in the death of 13-year-old Jada Woods Johnson. For the first time, we are hearing from Jada's mother. King 5's Jim Nelson has more.
She was a star. She really was. She wanted to be a star.
Tabitha Johnson, somehow, some way, finding the courage to speak.
If she would know that I was on the news right now, she would have said, "Pop off, queen."
Those laughs have been few and far between. The pain not even a week old. 13-year-old Jada Woods Johnson was the innocent bystander killed inside Alderwood Mall last Wednesday.
You don't think it's going to happen to you. You really don't. Especially going to the mall.
She was the only one hit by gunfire after two separate groups of teens got into a fight.
If it could be our Jada, it can be yours.
Now, with new charges filed against the 16-year-old suspected shooter, Tabitha Johnson is surrounded by love. and 2 big reminders of the life Jada lived.
Just always dancing, laughing, positive no matter what. She truly was an angel on earth.
How hard it must be to use the past tense.
She was so excited for 8th grade. She loved her friends and school. And 13. That's what we have. She wasn't your average 13-year-old. She was very extra and dramatic and very loud. And that's why I don't get why it was her.
Now they want justice. Justice for Jada, a 13-year-old girl who was so full of life.
The suspect, 16-year-old Samuel Gazal, was taken back into custody after being charged. He was charged with 1st and 2nd-degree murder, 1st-degree assault, and juvenile possession of a firearm. He is being charged as an adult, which is why we are naming him. Gazal turned himself in the night of the shooting, but police say the gun he used is still missing. If you have any information on that missing gun, you are asked to call police.
And for them to end up on the ground, it just made me sick.
A sight to see, spilled raspberries all over a road in Linden. Coming up, how a truck carrying thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of produce ended up in a jam. And at the Olympics in Paris, are athletes diving in or being left high and dry? We'll have updates on bacteria levels in the Seine River coming up. And you are taking a live look over Seattle from our Queen Anne Tower cam. Things are looking pretty gray out there. King 5 News will be right back after this.